Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is MTG Ghoul Dude, and I have a question for you guys. Have you ever thought about playing Pauper? It's just a general question. Now, have you ever thought about playing Pauper Commander? Well, if you've been on the fence about it, let me go on ahead and tell you it's it's definitely more different than what you're used to. But it's not all bad. It's definitely a different take on the format that we usually play, where most of the deck is like 60% rares. But I want to share with you guys my latest brew that I came up with, that a gentleman at one of the local game stores that I frequent, he put out in a Discord saying, hey, I'm looking into building, for PDH. And well, that kind of got my brain going. And what other way could I jump into the format of PDH with none other than zombies, of course. So I decided to build Narfi the Betrayer King. If for those of you that don't know, Narfi is a 4/3 for 3, a blue and a black, legendary snow creature, zombie wizard. Other snow and zombie creatures you control get +1/+1. For 3 snow mana of any color, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So this is a very recursive threat, and if you can find, a way to give him something big, especially with the different type of rocks that we play, if you throw a cranial plating on there, then it gets pretty good pretty fast. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to try and build up a zombie army and try to take our opponents out. And if we can get in a commander win, that's what we're going to do. So starting out with nothing but the artifacts first, we're going to go on ahead and get into some of the mana ramp, or the mana fixing. We got a Wayfarer's Bauble, an Arcane Signet, and I apologize for the sleeves, the waves that you see. Those aren't actually in the cards. Those are the actual sleeves. I've had these sleeves for a while, so they're kind of not in the best shape. Dimir Signet, Felwar Stone, and I was surprised that Arcane Signet was even a common, but it was been printed as a common. Charcoal Diamond, Sky Diamond, Commander's Fear, and I put this in the ramp section, but it does help reduce the cost of our blue spells that we do have a few of as zombies. So, speaking of them, let's go on ahead and get into our zombie package. Starting off with the Larder Zombie, which is going to help us surveil a little bit and get what we need. Carrion Feeder can be a creature saver for all those exile-based effects. Retrofitted Transmogrant to help feed the Carrion Feeder to get him a little bigger every time. Shambling Gas is going to pull in double duty for removal and mana generation if it happens. Seagraph Scab. A Curse Marauder is going to help us thin the board out on our opponent's side. Butcher Ghoul can be sack fodder, or it could also just be, a body that blocks multiple times. Lazotep Reaver is going to help build up another little mini army. Mire Triton wasn't included because I'm slowly moving myself towards the self-mill theme, but I'm unsure how I want to continue with that. So this is like dipping my toe into it. But it is a good blocker also, with being a 2/1 Death Touch. Priest of the Haunted Edge is going to provide a little bit of removal whenever we need it, if we don't have to attack with it. And we do have the snow lands in the deck, so we're not going to be, too much out. Putrid Goblin, just like the Butcher Ghoul, is going to help block and be sack fodder. Wider Precinct 6 is probably one of the biggest creatures that can be one of the biggest creatures in the deck, considering, graveyards get kind of full kind of fast. Aven Eternal is going to help populate the board and make that a mass token from the Lazotep Reaper a little bigger. Falcon Abomination is going to give us another body to go along with a decayed body to go along with the one we paid for. Ingenious Skyb is kind of a necessary include because it is a big beater for 3 mana, and it does have prowess, and we do have a couple instants and sorceries that we may want to cast on our turn to help, get it through a little faster. Blighted Bat is going to help us protect ourselves in the air, and we can swing with it on the turn it comes out. Ghoul Razor for a little bit of recursion, random recursion. Shriek Diver is also going to help us protect ourselves from the Sky Fiends. Laboratory Brute is another one of those self-mill cards that I decided to put in. And then we get into some more of the utility creatures, and this is where we get really deep into the utility creatures. Dimir Houseguard allows us to transmute for 3. Now, there are already a couple spells and a couple creatures that we've already seen that helps us, that we're going to want to get a little faster than some others. So he's in there for a tutor or for, just to be a sack outlet or just a swinger. Gravedigger is going to help us bring back, I don't know, one of those specific cards that we're trying to consistently get back. Maybe we need a Vengeful Dead to help capitalize on those sacrifices. Maybe we need just something to help press the board just a little bit faster. So we want to get a Gem Palm Polluter, and we'll bring it back. After we cycle it, of course. Shepherd of Rod is going to help thin everybody's life total, even our own. Warning, this is very dangerous if you're already playing against another zombie deck, because it's in play, not just yours. Grey Merchant of Asphodel is going to be the one thing that we're trying to consistently loop to gain enough life to stay alive and to drain our opponents to death. And if we decide we can't do that and we do mill enough creatures, we can just play the Lifeless Giant and do the same thing. If, because you start out with 25 in PDH, I do believe. So, 25 life. It gets pretty down pretty fast. And to help us do that, we're going to play a couple of, just a few for right now, because I picked up some, but I haven't really slotted them into the deck officially. Planar Incursion for the Blink, the Teferi's Time Twist, and the Ghostly Flicker. Now, what did I do? Oh, it's over here. So now we're going to move into our card advantage. What are we trying to do? Well, if we're consistently trying to get back creatures, I'll just let this card just slide on through. Tortured Existence. For a single black, this is an enchantment that says tap a black, choose a card, and discard a creature card from your hand. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So it just kind of cycles them around, switches them. Good old switcheroo, if you must. And with that, that's going to be able to help us discard a card in our hand to get, back the Gary that we kind of threw away in the graveyard by accident, by milling. Or that was just killed by natural causes. We do have Opt, Corrupted Conviction. Ghoul Caller's Chant will help us get multiple zombies back. Village Rites. Strategic Planning is one of those other kind of like self-mill cards. Altar's Reap. Costly Plunder. Deadly Dispute. Grave Dig for, the value to return creatures from your graveyard and get another zombie token while we're at it. Oof. That's there we go. Excuse me. Ransack the Lab is one of those other self-mill kind of type cards. Distant Melody, if we can keep a good solid board, we're probably going to end up drawing a bunch of cards. And finally, we have Diada's Ploy. This is one of those cool discard effects that we're going to be able to use if we can, and multiple times. And, multiple uses is always a great thing. That's why we like recursion over here in the graveyard. Once you use it, you can always use it again. And now we're going to move into our next section, the interaction section. Card interaction, player spell interaction. Because, we always need to have answers for the things that haven't come yet but are on their way, and things that are already made it here but are just not what we need to deal with right now. So, to start out with, we're going to play Counterspell because it is printed in common. Essence Scatter. Negate. Countervailing Winds is going to serve two purposes. It's you know, counter spell, and it also, for each card in our graveyard, or we can cycle it. Kasmina's Transmutation to get rid of pesky commanders, or for, those really big creatures that you just normally couldn't get rid of with Pestilence. Yes, I have decided to play Pestilence. The deck, I feel like the deck has been called to play Pestilence because we do play some really big zombies, and if we can just make our way to try and get our board set up good enough, then we have no problems with Pestilence. But for those that we can't get around, we have a Doomblade, a Feed the Swarm. Thank you, Brian Canada, for reminding me that Feed the Swarm is a common, because I didn't originally have it in the deck list because I didn't think it was a common. Nameless Inversion, Victim of Night, because, we don't like anything that's not undead or not human, straight human. And just plain up murder. So now we're going to move into the non-land, the basic lands and the non-basic lands, but we're going to start out with the fetching lands in this scenario first. Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse. Grixis Panorama is probably one of the better fetches for, Pauper. It's not one of the best, but, when you're pretty much playing on a budget, this is about as good as it can get in some places. Maestro's Theater to get that basic island or swamp. Obscure Front can get that island or swamp. Shimmer Drift Veil enters the battlefield tapped, but we get to choose a color, and it is a snow land, so it does help us in our endeavors a little bit. Dismal Backwater is going to gain us a life and provide those dual colors. Ice Tunnel helps in immaculate ways because it is a snow duel, and it's a snow duel. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. Waterfront District is going to allow us to draw a card later on when we don't need it. Demir Aqueduct is going to help us mana ramp a little faster. And then we get into our multicolored, better lands for lesser. Command Tower and Opal Palace to help boost our commander a little bit. And Cradle of the Accursed is going to round out our non-basic lands. And we, of course, because we're playing Narfi, we do have the Snow Swamp and the Snow Islands. So what do you guys think about this list? I know a lot of people aren't really big into PDH, but, this is me dipping my toe into it. I recently did get to enjoy playing a regular game of Commander with the PDH deck, and they actually ended up taking me out first because I ended up getting a big enough board to be a threat. And I feel like if that doesn't say something about the deck, then, I don't think anything else I could say could. But that is going to be it for today. As always, if you have any suggestions to help bring the deck up a couple notches, or, I know one of them is like a Lotus Petal, because it is a great mana rock that, it's a ritual pretty much. And, if you have any suggestions for deck upgrades or anything like that, or if you have a PDH deck of your own, let me know down in the comments below. I love to pick everybody's brains about different things going on in our wonderful game. But that is going to be it for today, and I will see you guys next time in the graveyard.